I'd like to ask Jonathan, what are some good perimeter security best practices?
They're
That's awesome.
aside from like your standard issue like jingle bells, booby traps, or jingle bells warning system. You can take like some Christmas bells and tie them to but that doesn't really do you any good because especially if you have livestock, you're going to be dealing with predators, like coyotes and stuff who can trip those. Trail cams are really good. CCTV systems are not that expensive nowadays, not like they used to be.
Okay.
Honestly, have at least a handgun, preferably a handgun and a rifle, preferably a semi-automatic rifle such as an AR-15 or an AK-47 or some main battle rifle and a full rifle cartridge, 308, AR-10, M1A, FAL, even the SETMEs. Have something like that.
SETMEs?
Yeah, it's like a semis. It's like an HK91. It's another semi-automatic 308.
Okay. Okay.
I've never owned one. I'm not a fan of them, but some people like them. And so, anyways,
let me ask you another. So let me ask a question related to that. If someone is watching and they don't have firearms, but they want to at least get a rifle.
Yeah.
And they don't know anything about it. They feel like the bottom's going to drop out any second. They don't have time to do the research, and they just want to go and get an affordable gun that has, the capacity and the firepower they need to keep them and their families safe. What would you recommend?
An AR-15, AR-15 and 5.56. It's the most user-friendly, the most modular. An AK-47 is great, but
They are.
in order to get one that has the same cross compatibility and user friendliness with like your kids and your wife and you, as far as like being able to put a red dot on it and have an adjustable stock, in order to get something like that you have to spend usually over $1,000, which you can do, and if you can afford it, do it, absolutely, because the caliber is great. And it's readily available still despite the importation ban. Magazines are not any more expensive, all that stuff's still out there. The AK market has really blown up in the past 10 years, no pun intended. But the AR-15 really is kind of America's rifle. Everybody can shoot it. Everybody can use it. It's extremely modular and customizable and user friendly. The ammo, with the occasional shortage, is pretty readily available, and everybody will have it, including National Guard armories. So you can get pretty much whatever you need whenever you need it. Either one is fine. I'm not opposed to either one, but I would say if you're on a budget, it's easier to get more bang for your buck by getting something like a Smith & Wesson M&P 15, or a Ruger AR-556, or and it doesn't.
Those are also rifles.
Yeah, those are all AR-15s, and it doesn't really matter what brand you get for the most part. Stay away from the polymer receiver ones because they're not very durable, especially under rapid fire. So get something with an aluminum standard metal receiver, which is 98% of the companies out there, and you can do all that for $1,000 or less, and still be able to get something that everybody can shoot and use. A flashlight, a 2-point sling, and a red dot and iron sights are pretty much the only things that I really insist that people have for any sort of defensive gun. Have as much ammo as you can. Try to have at least 1,000 rounds for every caliber you shoot, bare minimum, untouched, and then build from there. That's your hard deck. Don't break that. And then honestly, get a dog. Like, there's no alarm system better than a dog. I mean, we've been doing this dance with them for thousands of years. Yep. It's in their DNA to bark at everything and to protect the hallway or the front door, or the backyard. And they're better than just about every technology that you have. They're cheaper. They can eat eggs. They're easy to take care of. I mean, they can eat whatever. And
cat's not going to bark.
No, the cat's not going to warn you. The cat is good for sanitation, weirdly enough, despite the litter box issue.
Rodents.
Yeah, you have a barn cat. A barn cat. Barn cats are, that's like the one redeeming value of cats.
Yeah. Yep.
Aside from being able to see the shadow people, they can also, they can also see, they can also take care of rats and snakes. And
I actually have 2 questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, tell people about so you're recommending all these rifles. Tell people why I'm deferring to you to recommend rifles.
I've worked in a gun shop, or I've worked in 2 gun shops for the better part of 4 to 5 years now. And then I've been a shooter for probably the past 20 years. And I've spent a lot of money on ammo. So, and I've taken some classes. I've taken some good classes. I've had the privilege of having a lot of friends who know a whole lot more than they've forgotten more than I'll ever
Ginger
remember.
Patriot, for one.
Yeah,
Ginger
Ginger
on
Patriot.
With us a few weeks ago.
Yeah. And so you have these opportunities to develop some sort of a skill.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where like the network thing comes in handy. You want people who, ideally, you want a plan with a network of people. There's a great book that Delta clued me into called Patriots. I don't remember the author's name, but it's about this. It's like a preppers. It's a novel basically about prepping.
Okay.
In the apocalypse, like nuclear war or something happens. I can't remember what it was. And, everybody sort of, all these friends who have, like, one's a doctor and one's like a security guy, and the other's like an IT person and the other's a farmer, and them and their wives, they all get together, they have a coordinated meeting place. They have a bunker, they have a perimeter set up, they have fire watch, established, and, with watch posts, and who does what. And they have medical supplies. That's the ideal.
Right.
Hardly anybody.
That's going to be one of my questions about organization. How do you do that? I need to get that book.
Yeah, it's cool. I got it at the house. I'll give it to you.
Cool.
I don't remember the name of it, but I'm pretty sure it's called Patriots. Yeah, organization's important. You have to have people you trust outside of people you know and people you trust. Friends of friends. If cell networks are still established, then you can vet people who show up at your door saying like, "Oh, I'm Jonathan's friend," and
have some sort of communication word, some sort of indicator that only you and Jonathan would know, so that friend can say, "Hey, by the way, the
secret
word,
code, baby,
right? The word that I'm supposed to tell you, so you know how to trust me. This is the word, the watchword.
Yeah, a watchword is important, and it's a great idea.
Great.
And then if you don't have that, then beyond that, if this is just some stranger off the street who shows up at your gate, based on your needs, if you need somebody to help you, move a trailer that's broken down, let them move the trailer, have somebody watch the scene, and then don't let them in any area where you don't have to let them in, because who knows if they're really like a spy, sneaking into your camp to scope it out for the marauders, and then get them out of there as soon as possible. And or if you don't need them, don't have them. Don't let them in. Give them. Actually, don't give them anything. Just don't.
Let me ask you a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
Firearms, dogs, all these things that you've mentioned are good for, that's kind of interior defense once they get to your door, your four walls, so to speak. Property extends beyond that. There is an outer perimeter.
Yeah.
What are some good, and a dog can tie into this too, but what are some other measures you can take, best practices to protect your outer perimeter of your property, whether you live on a homestead and you're out in the country, or maybe if you're in the, even more importantly, because this is my case, you live in the suburbs. You don't have you just have like a quarter of an acre with a house filling up most of it, and maybe a fence around the backyard. Like, what do you do to protect your outer perimeter?
Your OPSEC.
Yeah,
as they would say.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Again, like ADT, CCTV system. Something that, most houses, it's not uncommon for houses to have cameras in at the corners under the gutters these days. And you can have that arranged so that it ties into, you can have it installed. I'm sure Best Buy probably offers something like that, where you can just have it installed in your house and it just runs to an internal system. I mean, businesses do it,
but it's got to run to an internal system. That's the thing. Right. Everything you find at Home Depot is like, it's Wi-Fi connected, Bluetooth connected. And Bluetooth's okay.
If the grid goes, are you talking about like if the grid goes down, or if you don't have access to that?
If the grid goes down.
Yeah, at that point, you're looking at human resource. You're looking at like, people. You're going to say, okay, well, you're on Firewatch, so for the next 3 hours, from 1800 to 2100, usually 4 hour, 2 to 4 hour blocks typically is what you can get out of somebody for a Firewatch before it starts to get, they start to fall asleep. because they have other things that they need to do, you know, and it depends on how many people you have, you know. Yeah, like sleep.
Gotta have sleep.
Or drink.
Sleep is after water and shelter. Sleep is like you gotta have it. You can't think clearly, you're done.
Really
You're gonna be drink. Yeah,
Well, and that's one thing that, you know, ideally you want to have almost like go bags that you could just hand to people. So it's like, here's this. It's got an AR, a handgun, and a shotgun, medical kit, and a flare and a knife in it. You know, and here, go take, you know, you take the north. Here's another one for you. You go take the east. Here's another one for you, south. You know, whatever. And radios are not a bad idea.
I was going to ask.
A hand crank emergency radio is a pretty cheap investment. And then if you have any of those Baofeng $25 radios, those have to be. They're
How do you spell that?
It's Chinese Baofeng. Or it's either Feng or Fung, Baofeng or Baofeng, one of the two. And with those, you can even hack into FAA frequencies.
I got a friend. You know him?
Yeah.
Michael. And he's got his license. He's got a shortwave.
Yeah.
And he's got his ham license. And he was showing me all that stuff.
Ham radio is cool.
Yeah. I'd like to learn more.
Ham radio is a good way to build a network outside of. It's a stationary system, but it's a good way to build a network that is outside of your immediate surroundings. So if you need to coordinate with somebody a couple miles away, you know, a mile away, beyond hailing distance, in the next town over, you know, and you need to say like, hey, you know, we got a supply run coming to you guys. You know, or we got somebody out there. This is what he looks like. Blah blah blah. He's coming to pick up this. You know, he's our people. Okay, yeah, sure. What's the watchword? Yep, here's a watchword. Blah blah blah. You know, that's where ham radios and monitoring. I mean, having a police scanner, those Baofeng radios that can hack into FAA frequencies, which is why I think they actually put a moratorium on their importation last year.
Really?
Yeah.
On ham radios?
No, on those Baofeng walkies, on those Baofeng walkie-talkies, you can get them programmed to, they'll tap into
moratorium on importation, so you can only get what's already here.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. but I mean, they're out there. They're not
get them while they're hot.
Yeah, get them while they're hot, baby.
Yeah, understood.
I just so happen to have a small supply of them now.
Click the link below.
Yeah. And anything that, if it runs off of hand, you know, any sort of manual generation, hand crank of some sort, that's ideal, you know. And two, a typewriter, you know, honestly.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Having a typewriter is a good idea, you know, because you can't hack a typewriter.
And you know what? You can always type out that watchword. You can use that at the end of your communication on a typewriter.
Right.
When that missive is delivered to its intended recipient, they're going to know that this is legit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.